refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their gilt rings. Right, the bouncer's gilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're in Manchester. It's another fight week. Do you know what? Matchroom have been relatively active lately, haven't they?
When have we not been relatively? I mean, this is unbelievable. Look at the run that we've been on. I posted the other day, Anthony Joshua, Cordina against Rakimov, Canelo against Ryder in Guadalajara, Taylor against Cameron in Dublin, Lara against Wood 2. Sorry, we've got a week off next week, but then we go Sonny Edwards defending at Wembley. Then we go New Orleans with Regis Prograis for the world title. Then we go Madison Square Garden for Edgar Berlanga. Then we go July 1st with Dalton Smith in Sheffield. I mean, when are we going to get any credit? It's like, how can you still compare us to anyone?
All I said was you've been relatively active. It's not even a bad thing.
When have we never been? That's all we do. That's all we ever are, is active. All we ever do is hustle. All we ever do is win. But still, it's like, I wonder who the top promotional company is in the world. Is it even a conversation? Let's be honest.
Top 3 then.
Top 3 promotional companies in the world. In the world.
Do well, then do UK.
Okay. Matchroom, obviously. Top Rank. Number 3. It's hard because, obviously, PBC pretend they're not a promotional company, but you probably have to go PBC. UK, Matchroom, Queensbury, Boxer.
Interesting. Okay, Manchester Fight Week. Lara Wood 2.
Yes.
What's going to happen here? Because I ain't got a fucking clue.
I mean, I've got to say, I've got a sneaky feeling for Lee Wood. I mean, look, obviously represent both fighters. There's another week where I represent. I mean, the last 3 shows, Canelo Ryder, Taylor Cameron, and Lara v Wood 2, represent both fighters in the main event. Very difficult to sit there and give predictions and get overly excited and animated at ringside like I like to do. Lee Wood, it's just something in Lee Wood here. He seems so confident for someone that got stopped last time out. Do you know what I mean? And really, I'll ask him the question up here when we do the press, is this last chance saloon to fight for the world title? Probably. Unless Mick Conlon wins this week, maybe he would give him a shot, I don't know, but obviously Lee didn't give him a shot back, so who knows. But he must win this fight. He knows he must win this fight. Lara comes in with loads of confidence. I think he's going to start faster. I think he's going to try and take him out earlier in this fight. But it's just a brilliant fight. And the reality is Lee Wood was winning that fight. He was starting to dominate. He made a mistake and he got knocked out. But I think it's going to be a more aggressive fight earlier on Saturday.
Okay, we will talk more about it as we come, but we know obviously this is the first press conference, or the final press conference as well. But Terry Harper obviously moved from the disappointment of not fighting Cecilia Brackhouse on the Dublin card, but you moved very quickly to secure her a date on this card.
Yeah, I think, I was just said in the car, Terry Harper's probably the nicest person I've ever met. And the way that her and Steffi handled the disappointment of last week was unbelievable. The way that we, the team, everybody handled that was really commendable, because to switch round a 1 week delay after, and don't forget, this hasn't been an 8-week training camp for Terry. This has probably been a 15-week training camp waiting for the confirmation of the date. So I was really pleased we got it up and running. This is a tough fight. Herbazin has 1 defeat in the last 7 years, I think, and that's to Clarissa Shields. She's a very good fighter. She's a former world champion at welterweight. She's a big, strong challenger. And for Terry, it's never easy to peak. Don't forget, this wasn't a withdrawal on fight week. This was a withdrawal on fight day. And it's going to be a tough fight for Terry. And I hope that she can produce the same levels and peak again at the right moment that she was about to last Saturday. That's the difficulty. I'm glad that she doesn't have to make weight aggressively at 154. She could just stay ready, stay on the number. If she had to make weight back in the days when she was making 130, it'd be very difficult to come back and make weight again.
The card also features the likes of Campbell Hatton, who returns this week in Manchester as well.
Yeah, I mean, Campbell Hatton, Aqib Fiaz, I guess they're on a little bit of a potential collision course, those two, to have a big fight at the arena. It's a really good card. Aaron Bowen kicks it off as well.
Collar's brother.
Unbelievable story. I mean, I just saw Will back there. I remember William Croller when Croller was winning world titles, and he was, a teenager, really. And I knew he could box, and now he comes and tries to make a name in his own right as well. Ball against Robinson, a really good English title fight. It's going to give us great entertainment for the card as well. And of course, Jack Catterall against Daryl Foley. It's a brilliant fight at 140. I mean, Jack Catterall, the people's undisputed champion, as I call him, has been so inactive since that fight with Josh Taylor. Now he fights a guy who's actually buzzing, coming in with loads of confidence in Daryl Foley. And really the pressure's on Jack Catterall, not just to win, but to win in style. Because everyone's talking about you should have been undisputed champion. If you come in and put a below par performance in, if you struggle in this fight, that memory of that Josh Taylor fight kind of goes quite quickly. So I think the winner of this fight is likely to go on and maybe even fight Regis Prograis next for the world title. So it's a massive fight, and Foley's full of beans. He fancies it, It's a really good card from top to bottom.
Decent crowd in here on Saturday.
We'll have around 7,000, which obviously the disappointment for us was to take the fight from Nottingham, which wasn't available, to Manchester. This was the date that worked for the broadcast. This was the only date that worked within our schedule. Manchester was the place, and Lee Wood's done a couple of thousand himself coming from Nottingham, so fantastic. And Aqib Fiaz done 400, Campbell Hatton, the English title fight, Terry obviously on now. Jack Catterall's done nearly 1,000 tickets himself, so be a great crowd and a great night of boxing on Saturday.
Look forward to it, live on the zone. Edward, yesterday we learnt that Smith-Eubank 2 will be, at some point we're assuming, to be rescheduled again, as Liam Smith's not quite ready from his injury. That aside, you then went on a little posting spree with your little egg timer.
And a spree, was it? It was only one.
Well, when you actually put it on your main page of Instagram, it's like, it weren't even a story. I know there's a little bit more thought behind that, so do you want to explain?
The thought is we want to make Eubank against Benn. Enough's enough. It's been, over a year since the fight was made. We know the problems, and that's ongoing as well, and hopefully that will be sorted. But this is the time. This is the time to make this fight. It's the biggest fight in British boxing right now that can definitely get made. I know you've got Fury against AJ, but this is right up there. And there's things to sort out, but let's not mess around. There's business to be finalised and finished between those two, and I want to see this fight happen. So that from me yesterday was not, it's about to be signed. That was me to say, this is inevitable, this fight. Let's get it made. And those conversations are whether that fight happens internationally. We want this fight to happen in the UK, and we'll be doing everything we can to make this fight happen in the UK and going through all the correct procedures and channels to try and make that happen. But this fight should happen now, and this fight should happen next.
Would you have to have any conversations with Liam Smith's team in regards to, obviously, I don't know what the contract situation regarding their rematches, but if you wanted to kind of get in there before they had that rematch as such, do you have to speak to both parties?
We don't want to wait for the rematch. If the chance is available to make that fight now, we want to make that fight. Now, if it's not, then we can't. But I believe that things happen for a reason, opportunities arise out of nowhere, and ultimately now is the time to make that fight. So we'll be speaking to Calla and seeing if that's a possibility.
Have you not done that already?
Yes, we have. Not in terms of deep negotiations, but of course we've reached out.
But does this have any bearing on when Conor Benn's next fight is? Or?
Yeah, of course. So Conor Benn was looking to fight in June or July, but if we have to wait a little bit to make this fight, we'll do it. It's the biggest fight out there. As I said, one of the biggest fights in British boxing, and we'd like to make it happen.
So you're saying there is a possibility we could still see Benn-Eubank in the summer?
Absolutely.
Okay. Sorry, just going away from that. Tyson Fury's been linked with like Dempsey McKean and Opatea.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you reading into this?
Look, Tyson's gone into Australia, done what he does best, made some noise, talked some rubbish, and got some headlines. He ain't fighting, in my opinion, he ain't fighting Dempsey McKean, he ain't fighting Jay Opatea.
You don't believe that?
No, of course not. I mean, I know might have been some discussions with the government in Australia. The money, he could fight in the UK for more money. He's not going to fight those guys, but it's a good story. And now we get back to normal business and see what's next for him. It's his business, obviously, and George Warren and their team, but I don't know what he's doing. He's waiting, he seems frustrated. I think he wants to fight, but I don't think it'll be in Australia, my opinion.
Okay, and I know you've already said about Anthony Joshua, potentially for that kind of, I think the 12th of August you've mentioned. So where are you with that since the last conversations? I think we spoke to you last Tuesday.
Still waiting for a confirmed offer from Saudi, but we're pressing ahead with that August fight now, you know, on the basis of the Saudi fight not happening, because until we receive an offer, it's not happening. But we understand that's forthcoming. We know these guys are serious. We still look to make the Deontay Wilder fight, but also we want to fight. You know, as much as Tyson Fury wants to fight, we want to fight as well, and we'll be looking to do that early August.
Have you made more contacts with Dillian White's team?
We've had conversations, but nothing solid. But I think that's the guy we'd like to try and make happen.
Spence-Crawford finally done?
I don't know. Apparently, I mean, it's been finally done before, and it's not been announced. But I think
Is it not done now?
has it been announced? I don't know. No, but I think I've heard for many months now that it's going to get made. So fantastic if it is, coming off the back of Tank against Ryan Garcia, you know, and all the other fights been put together. I think boxing's in a great place, and finally we're getting that fight. So they are in their prime, I think, and I think it's a great fight for boxing.
I think it's when people say deal agreed, and that could mean a few things, couldn't it? Because
But
you've
no
had a
one
few
said-
deal agreeds before. haven't you?
I would, if I tell you deal agreed, and you know, if a contract is signed, it's signed. There's a difference between, yeah, we're up for the fight, we agree to terms, send the long form contract, and then it comes and breaks down. But I think both guys have nowhere to go. Crawford and Spence have nowhere to go other than fight each other, and I think now's the right time.
And just finally, yeah, I know you've already spoken about the Katie Taylor situation after her loss on Tuesday with Colin, but yeah, I mean, that is how it is from the weekend. I mean, it was a very eventful night in Dublin.
It was an unbelievable card, you know, eventful night, great main event. You know, Katie showed so much heart. Chantel Cameron was brilliant, and as you know, I expected, Katie wants a chance to avenge that defeat. So we'll speak to Chantel's team and Katie Taylor's team, but we expect that to be made next.
Okay, Edward, I'm sure we'll catch up with you again. I know you've got a string of press waiting for you. Have you got anything else you just want to say? Or just...
No, just thanks for the support. It's been an incredible run. We've got literally a show coming up every week for the next 5-6 weeks, and tune in on Saturday night, you can see a great show.
Eddie, we'll speak to you soon.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,